So glad to see you all. Thank you so much for being here, taking some time to contribute to our wonderful city. Really appreciate everyone being here. My name is Jonah. I am on the Sustainable Greenfield Implementation Committee, SGIC. The cheering you hear is from other committee members. So if the SGIC committee members could just raise your hand and wave, look around. We are made up of both a combination of city staff and city residents, public. I'm a part of the public, that's a part of the committee. And we are working to implement our master plan. And that's why you're here today, so thanks for being here. We are excited to take advantage of a resource we have in our community, the Conway School, that does real life projects around the valley and beyond. And we're excited to have 3 of them working in Greenfield to help us update some of our master plan. So that's why we're here today. This is going to be run by our 3 wonderful Conway students, Jess, Aaron, and Annie. And I'm going to turn it over to them. Just wanted to thank you all for being here and for participating.
Hi, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm Annie. I'm a Conway student. Aaron and Jess, as Jonah said. And we're here today because we were brought on because of the Sustainable Greenfield master plan that came out in 2014. And we were brought on to kind of revise and edit 2 chapters of that master plan, which is the land use chapter and the natural, historic, and cultural chapter. Those chapters are important because they show us how to best conserve, restore, and develop the town's land and resources. And based on the last community engagement meeting, I guess you had for the master plan that came out, a lot of your input was really useful and very helpful for setting the goals for that plan. And we're excited to see this outcome tonight because we're hoping for a similar kind of exchange of your knowledge of the town and us to get a better idea of the town as well. Because we don't live here, you guys do. So we're really curious to kind of pick your brains. We have activities set up that we hope to kind of encourage and get more of your input. So for the agenda for the night and the overall purpose for the agenda for the night, Aaron is going to do a presentation on the history of Greenfield to the present. And then after that, he's going to invite you guys to reflect on kind of Greenfield's identity and how it feels as a community now and then. And then we're going to jump to present day, and Jess is going to highlight kind of the accomplishments or the achievements from the last master plan. And then after that, we're going to break out into 4 stations that we have set up around the room. And you'll kind of move around those stations. We'll ring a bell so you'll know when to kind of encourage you to move to another station and get your input. And then just so you all know as well, there's a follow-up event, and that's going to be on Monday, March 4th, same place, same time, and we would love to see you there. So now I'm going to pass it off to Aaron, and Aaron's going to give you a brief history of Greenfield, your Greenfield.
Thank you, Annie. Can everyone hear me okay? So what follows is one version of the story of Greenfield. For thousands of years, the Connecticut River Valley was thickly settled by native peoples, including the Pecumtuck, who lived here. They took advantage of the valley's rich soils to grow food and hunted game in the uplands. And they also gathered seasonally to collect fish from the Connecticut River at Turner's Falls. On smaller rivers, such as the Green, they may have used stone weirs to channel the fish into baskets. English colonists began to settle New England in 1620. In the winter of 1637, English settlers in Connecticut were starving. The Pecumtuck were able to help them by sending 500 bushels of corn, down the river in 50 canoes, as shown in this painting by Deborah Spears Moorhead. As the English pushed west, the natives resisted. A flashpoint was the late 17th century conflict known as King Philip's War, in which native peoples across the region banded together in an effort to defend their land. Currently, efforts are underway to locate artifacts from this time period in Greenfield. This painting by Pat Morris shows refugees from the war crossing the Connecticut River. Continuing strife led in 1704 to an event known as the Deerfield Massacre. Several colonists were taken captive, including Eunice Williams, the Reverend John Williams, and their children. Because she had just given birth and was unable to keep up with the rest of the hostages, Eunice was put to death. Today, the Eunice Williams covered bridge bears her name. One of her daughters, also named Eunice, later chose to live as a native and married a native man. The South Hadley Canal opened in 1795, allowing boats to travel up the Connecticut River to Greenfield. Up and down the valley, colonists built mills to draw power from tributaries of the Connecticut, such as the Green. The combination of boat access and hydropower helped to make Greenfield a center of manufacturing and trade. John Russell established the Green River Works in 1838, producing vast amounts of cutlery for the young nation. As the city grew, it became a center of the tap and die industry, and many other forms of manufacturing thrived. Business brought prosperity to the region, and local attractions like the Rock Ledge Hotel, pictured here in 1930. Beginning in the late 20th century, however, many industries left the U.S. as the economy globalized. Greenfield and other former mill towns along the Connecticut were no exception. Despite these losses, Greenfield retains many manufacturers, including Kennametal, Schweitzer Moduit, hope I pronounced that right, Real Pickles, Small Corp, and Valley Steel Stamp, among others. Greenfield's Museum of Our Industrial Heritage commemorates the importance of manufacturing in Greenfield's past and to its future. Recent developments have included efforts to turn Greenfield, which contains an abundance of soils suitable for agriculture, into a food hub. The Franklin County Community Development Corporation currently runs a business incubator for food processing ventures. The city has worked with Just Roots Farm to support local food production, and Court Square hosts a farmer's market on Saturday mornings during the season. How else might Greenfield continue to grow? So this was just one way of telling the story of Greenfield, maybe an outsider's perspective, but clearly it's not the only way. What would you add, or how would you tell it differently? If you have time this evening, I invite you to come over to this table, the timeline, and tell your history of Greenfield. Maybe if we all work together, we can come up with a different or better story for the town. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jess, who's going to bring us into the present and talk about some of the developments since the 2014 Comprehensive Plan, Sustainable Greenfield.
Thank you. I'll just make sure you can hear me. Okay. So the City of Greenfield, with the help of the wonderful Sustainable Greenfield Implementation Committee, has made progress in implementing so many of the items recommended in Sustainable Greenfield. This is only a fraction of the achievements from the plan, including improvements to downtown, a new community center and library, housing Greenfield, and expanded public transport. The city has cut its own greenhouse gas emissions by 67% and planted over 1,000 trees. Progress toward the goals outlined in the Land Use and Natural, Historic, and Cultural Resources chapters include updates to zoning to encourage low-impact development and development downtown, including an accessory dwelling unit ordinance. Efforts to bolster Greenfield's sense of community through the Bee Sculpture Project, historical signs, and tours and public events, and the city's efforts to support local food production and processing in numerous ways, including work with Just Roots and the passage of the Community Preservation Act. There are many ongoing projects, including looking for ways to help Greenfield manage flooding and stormwater, identifying land to conserve for wildlife and recreation, and protecting the town's prime agricultural soils. As the city updates its plans relating to land use and natural, historic, and cultural resources, we would really love your input. So Annie will introduce each of the stations. I think she did a little bit already. So, and then we're going to break off into our groups.
Okay, hello. This is where we're going to get on our feet and kind of be a little more interactive with the 4 stations we have around the room. We have Our Greenfield station that talks more about land use and development. We have Wild Greenfield that talks more about natural resources and biodiversity. Food Hub is the other station, and that talks about the food web within Greenfield. And then our last is Cultural Heritage, which is more about Greenfield identity and culture. Cultural Heritage is over here. Food Hub is in the back, and then Wild Greenfield is over there, and what am I missing? Our Greenfield is in the back corner. So we invite you to get up and move to that station, and there will be a facilitator at every station to kind of talk you through what all the activities require.
Yeah, good.